don't know how many wives Mr. Charles Oka Carter had, but apparently the leadership that came into the communities and that, so the leadership of those churches, they must have met, made friendships, and who knows, through our observations, I'm not midnight stop here, and then through the interpreters and that, so he must have known this is the story. While he was sitting there, multiple females were tending to making sure he had something to drink. Somebody hung up his coat. Somebody told him, this is where you sat. And as he was making observations and that, he asked, "Hagad namati, ona upita, human, upita." Oh, and that's the view. How come you upset? And another person came in, "Hagad nama, skesinas." Like they're busy, right? And then all of a sudden he said, "No, all those women that are in there with Hakiman, oh." So he walked out of there with this knowledge that there's a polygamy practice happening there, right? So each visit, of course, as they became a community in that, as it starts to grow, we call it akokki, the original person, because of his culture having many wives, that's what we call person, akokki. Further to that, the Mormon church is called the many wives church, right? It's within their doctrinations and that, they were practicing polygamy. So anything that's Mormon, many wives prayer. Cardston, that's what we call it. Hey, Blanche! I have to acknowledge our elders. Blanche, we're glad you can join us. You don't know. Oh, my gosh, oh, okay. And it's fine. It doesn't. I think God sits to me in fire. And I'm going to go. Good to speak black, but you don't get to speak it that much. So the communities were starting to be born, right? And of course, not too far from there was another community called Raymond, right? And it was founded after Jesse Knight, a Utah industrialist who came into the area. And it is known for its sugar. Of course, home to the first stampede in Canada. The very first, before there was a Calgary stampede, we had a Raymond stampede. So the communities, particularly, the Bloods, they did a lot of businesses in those areas and that, because, now there's a new system where, we're not going to hunt anymore. You have to have money. You got to go into these towns. Dave's over there. Oh, yeah, okay. So, so now we have monies in our pockets, right? You shop them. Now we got to go visit these towns and that to buy food. We have to start buying, the stuff. So that whole idea of capitalism, now we have to adapt to that, right? So monies. And Raymond was a town that was known for sugar, not being the one, right? And of course, it was kind of prominent in that. So, they started visiting that town, the community and that, and it was kind of prominent that sugar was part of the production. So we call it Itaya being the one, Yeah, not being the one with sugar. Itaya being where they make sugar. Yeah, Itaya being the one, Yeah. So we created not being the one, sugar, and this is where they make it. So, I don't know if they still make sugar there. Who's from Raymond? Anybody know if they still make sugar? They know? What do they make over there? I just know they got a really good sports program. You can never beat them at the basketball. They're really good. What's that? Oh, yeah, that's right. So Raymond. So we call it according to what's happening in that town, right? So they were known for sugar back in the early days and that. Daya being the wine, right? Bunch, if you want sugar, come at the fall. Yeah, the Tayat one. Right, so they, another community. Okay, next one, Kristen. So that's two towns. No, we made those observations, right? You see what they were doing, what was really, prominent in what was happening within the people, right? Within the communities and that. So we call it accordingly, right? So as they visit, as we dialogue as a community, so may get a oh, that, oh, we call it a. So over the years and that's what we still call it, the speakers of the language. You know, Nituhkima, remember we did the family? Nituhkima is your wife, Nituhkima, right? Ko is many, Tohkim, right? Many wives. Where are we? Okay. Of course, this is one of the first communities ever in southern Alberta, as far as houses, right? There were forts, right? First there were forts. There were just centers, for the Northwest Monmouth Police, or centers for trading at that early times of Hudson Bay and so forth. When the Americans came and started trading whiskey, the Fort Hookup, notorious for, the whiskey trading. Before Fort McLeod became a Fort McLeod of North, it was a whiskey trading post. Before it became the Fort McLeod as we know it, right? So when Stomachs began, Colonel McLeod, when he first came and established this police and that, he made quite a bit of friendships with the Bloods at that time, Redco. They liked him so much of his outlook for this area that he gave him an Indian name or a Blackfoot name. Stomachs, Bullhead. Okay, that was his Blackfoot name, Stomachs. Bullhead. So you can imagine how he got his name. What did he look like, right? He must have been pretty hairy and big head, bullhead, right? Stomachs, guys. Those kind of, that was the name that Colonel McLeod was given. So they established it and they kicked out the American whiskey traders and so forth and that. And they became a permanent residence of those forts, especially Fort McLeod. They went up to Along with that, of course, not only himself, but there was a group of them that came into this area and they established a community. The first community.
Just dark online. We're just playing with lighting.
Oh, hey.
Julius is just speaking.
So when they started building houses as a community around the fort, right? And then we started to visit that area and we started to notice, there's houses, the community of houses. Not just one, it's not just a big fort anymore. Now we have various houses in and around the fort. So we call this Agapuyas. Many houses. Agapuyas, right? Remember Agapuyas? The prefix of Agapuyas. We say Moyes is just a lodge. Moyes. Agapuyas. And Napi is part of your word in the middle. Napuyas is a house. Okay? Agapuyas. Yes is the lodge. The pew in the middle, Napu is the white man. God is many. So many white man houses. Or just in short, many houses. Agapuyas. Start visiting there. That's what's the Tapoya Americans. What is that Tapoya Queens? What is the Tapoya Americans? Yamo with the flow. And when you kind of finish doing that, then you go to just out of Reach. Remember Reach? And I had the most awesome butcher shop there. It was my first time visiting that butcher shop. You go into the butcher shop and they got fresh meat, but on the floor they had sawdust all on the floor. It was kind of like knee-high to me. So walking around in sawdust. Apparently, that's just fresh meat, right? They didn't have refrigeration, so that sawdust kind of collects the blood or something on the meat. Yeah, there's quite the town, Fort McLeod. Yeah, so that was that was the first community, even before Lethbridge became Lethbridge, got these houses, right? This is my favorite. So, as I was talking to you, I'm gonna move over this way now. So McGrath, here he is, Charles Alexander McGrath. Right, a little bit of history up there. He was a son-in-law of Sir Alexander Galt, right? There, and he established this town in 1899, this McGrath. So they called it after him, Alexander McGrath, right? Did we? No. We call it something entirely different than that. So as I was saying, so now we were learning a new system of money. You got to make money somewhere, man. So you have to do service to a person, you know, the old capitalism and that. What did they say? You sell your service for money. So we started making money, and one of the main money makers at one time was selling hay, prairie hay. You would cut it, and you bale it, and you would sell it to the neighboring ranchers. One of the biggest ranchers, I guess, was in McGrath. And their favorite place was this man. I'm not too sure what his English name is, but this individual had a humpback. He couldn't straighten out his back. He was like this all the time. So when he talks to you, he was talking to the ground. He had such a bad back, right? So when they started going into that community of McGrath to sell their hay, you'll have to go and talk to this man that had a bad back. So they call him Xamaskini. Xamaskini, which means a person who's probably got a really bad back, hump over like this. When he talks to you, he talks into the ground. Xamaskini. Yeah, Xamaskini. Yeah. So if I was Quasimodo, I would be like that too, right? And I'd be walking around to go ring the bell somewhere. So this guy, he was probably not quite like that, but he had such a bad back that we call McGrath Xamaskini, which means the humpback or the bad back, you know, some right there. Yeah, in fact, I remember those days too, and that we visited probably that town all summer long, and we cut hay at my uncle's place with my sister. We cut hay and we go to Thomas City and sell that hay there by the pound, not kilometer, not kilogram, but by the pound. Yeah, so there it was, Thomas City. 4 towns based on their culture, based on something that's very specific to that area, right? So we got Alpakini, right? The Dayapino where they make sugar, right? And then of course, Fort McLeod with the many houses, Got Helios, and McGrath being, the humpback. Humpback. And somebody was telling me one time that why do we call checks Istikinasu? Istikinasu means the ball head business. Yeah. So now listen, where I picked this up on that. Once you receive not a check, but you probably received some form of paper from the Thomas, right? So he would give you this paper, it's not money. You would take this little piece of paper and you bring it to a merchant in the town of McGrath, and they call him Istikini, the person that owns. He owned it's kind of like there's a grocery store and there's a hardware store, and further back was a clothing store. You would take a little piece of paper, you go up these stairs, and there's a little office there, you give him that paper, and then he'll give you cash. Like a check, right? So in some sense, it's 60 miles. It's 60 miles, it's a bald head business. Right? Yeah. You do business with the bald head guy. That's what you call checks. So anytime you receive a check, they say, what is this? Oh, it's 60 miles. Oh, okay, I know what that is. You got to bring it to a bank. Or you got to bring it somewhere else in order to get money, right? So one of the first checks probably was that, the Sikinas. Right, you remember that? Yeah, the Sikinas. Ja, toll, that is just in city marks. This is look in his office, eat ice cream all day. I remember it. Yeah. I never met Samus in it, but I met this 60. Well, you met him, eh? Yeah, that's what they were describing him, Thomas Skinny. And then when he talks to you, that's what it means, is that when you got a really bad back, when he talks to you like that, he talks into the ground. Thomas Skinny, eh? But you met him, huh? So I met this 60. Yeah, I think he lived to be about 100 years old, eh? This 60.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah, we have to be humble. Yeah, we don't ask questions. How come you got a bad back? What's they for? You see, it's too good, now, see. I think when you have many wives and that, something's gotta give up. That was bad. So. And there's what's this one joke, we have such our yeah, our sense of humor, sometimes it's, when you try to translate it to, English, it kind of loses its flavor, right? It's Blackfoot humor, Indian humor, within their language and that, they get stuff, and they try to interpret it in English, it just doesn't fit that mold of, broadly dangerous humor type of thing, It's not funny. So those are the towns. Now, see, we have our own language. We didn't follow the English language and call Cardston. We have to make sense of those areas and provide it of our own language. Okay? Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Yeah, we're getting to Lethbridge. Everybody say, what about Lethbridge? Yeah, let's go. Oh, you know, there it is. Of course, Lethbridge was named after William Lethbridge, a British-born coal mine owner. Well, you already know that, Kristen, right? Yeah, this is the Galt Museum. You don't know anything about Lethbridge, and that is right there. Yeah, he's never been here though. He never set foot in this area, but they called us after him because of his, right? He's probably a nobleman. He's probably somebody at very high class and that. He named that town after me. What does it look like? But again, yeah, so named it after Lethbridge. Now, we didn't call him after him, right? If you had like a limp or if he had a slave dragon, we call him according to him, right? If he was so important, we look for something that, did he have a round face? Did he have a patch on one eye, right? No, we've never seen him. But we know that the importance of this town here relied heavily on coal. Right down here. In fact, there was a town called what is it, Coal Banks? Yeah, in Battle Park, there's a community called Coal Banks. There was a bunch of houses down there. And then, of course, the city passed a bylaw that you can't live in parks anymore. So there was Indian Battle Park, and they had to move. And the flooding, of course, yeah. Oh, lots of flooding. So we have to make sense of now it is a community, and it's a community we're going to be visiting in that, right? Because there's merchants, there's food over there we need to go visit, right? And there's Safeways and so forth. So we call this Sikokutuk. Sikokutuk. Kutuk is a rock. Sixanutsi is black. Sikokutuk. Black rock. Okay? So Lethbridge, among the Blackfoot speakers, Gala, Bitani, and of course, Sixadown, when they visit here, they'll say Sai que eles têm que tu quando macaca to what do you call this place? And we say Sikokutu. Oh, okay, you call it Sikokutu. And you start to think, oh, that makes sense. Because of the cold. Yeah, yeah. Cold. You have your hand up. Yeah, that's right. Same thing, yeah. That town of Okotok is Okotok. Yeah, which means, rock, yeah. And that has, it's why we have these places marked in that, because, it's Blackfoot territory, right? You have to name all these rivers and so forth and that. So this is now part of our community. So we have to look at it. It's part of our everyday life and that and so forth. We just call it according to something very important, right? Not necessarily the person, but the production of coal being something very the primary. That's why they're here, because of the coal mines, right? And of course, the railway, it comes right through Lethbridge and that. And that is a work of art, that bridge over there, right? Because of the coal, we need to bring this coal down to Fort McLeod and so forth and that. So we gotta deliver it. So wait. Okay, so these are, I'm just gonna name the ones that are very significant, like in a sense. I didn't really research the towns going towards Highway 2, except for High River. Okay, so I'm sure we have names for Claresholm, but we don't usually stop in Claresholm, just probably for nachos, but that's about it. Oh, and wings, yeah, we gotta have some wings. So it really wasn't a place of business for, the Blackfoots and that, it's just a community on the way to much better, bigger communities. So, of course, Calgary, when did Calgary become a city? Probably after Lethbridge or before Lethbridge? Huh? After, right? Yeah, so, it's fairly a new community. But there was a river that flowed in there, we call it Mohkins. And there's, of course, the Bow River. So when they started establishing the forts and it became a community, the area was much more known for the Elbow River, right? And then we call that Mohkins, Elbow, Mohkins, because of the Elbow River. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Elbow River, yep, right there. Tim! We didn't even hear that.
But he used to stand on the street and posture people.
Is that what he did?
I'm asking.
No, the point opposite.
Yeah, the reason, I don't know if you remember the old, yeah, seriously. He used to stand on right outside the store, and as our people would go by.
Heard him in, eh?
Yeah, come on in, I got your size. We have not used bothersome.
Yeah. Somebody who's nuisance tonight, it's, yeah, it's, I don't think anybody's a nuisance tonight. We don't really use that, but, because something who's a nuisance tonight would be ostracized, right? Not within our communities and that, somebody who's a Bruinops, and I say Bruinops, he was very much part of our community, but this person that's a Bruinops and that, which is a public store, right? I remember getting my clothes in there, but yeah, and that's what they follow you right around and hey, I got your size, I got your color, and that's what we call them Bruinops. The moment you walk in there, hey, sister, like it was, or hey, uncle, or son, what they see for you. Yeah, Bruinops.
Now it's it's no longer, I don't know if it's still.
Oh, they shut down. Manat it's still. Manat it's 3 point.
See, we're having my boys blue cheese.
Cents. Oh, it's not that anymore.
40 legs.
Oh, I was getting enough to see. Tim,
So, but, so would anybody do like, in French? But,
in French, is that?
it's the people who stand outside the restaurant,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So,
Somebody who's, somebody who actually stands and invites you into his establishment, I don't think that would be a boynaps in that, eh? That would the wops, eh? Meaning he's a very friendly person. Just go to wops, you're only at the but until you go in there, they come out with things that you don't really need. And you didn't really need these, but it's still boynaps. I bought them anyways. Yeah, but somebody who's standing on it, big, possibly big. That would be spoke to us, very friendly, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's important for everybody to learn how to say it properly.
So,
No, not siguro ko.
yeah, see. Kotok. Yeah. Yeah, see. Kotok. Yeah, that's that. Oh, there's all katokes to the left of that. It's supposed to be kotok. Right? And we were studying how we used up the alphabets, how the H is a So anytime you see an H, if you look at the word C, in between there is a K-O-H. See, kotok, okay? Black rock. See, kotok. That's what we call Lethbridge. And the speakers of the language in that will say, okay, so there's a little bit of history, right? You think about why we call these things, we go to Cardston, speakers who are still fluent will understand the history of why we call them. Today's generation, we have to almost reteach them why we call it that, right? Because, the churches who moved into the area, the polygamists that were. Well, Panoka too, and that, if you look at the town of Panoka, if you put in our Blackfoot way of saying that, it's Ponoka, which is an elk. Yeah, Ponoka, yeah, the river, yeah, Ponokasisakta, it's the river with the elk river, Ponokasisakta, that's what we call red deer. It's supposed to be Elk River, so there's a mistranslation there somewhere. Red deer. Right? So, these towns, right? Based on something, so what do you call this area? Well, we went a little bit too far there, but we also have a town called Medicine Hat. Okay? Now, Medicine Hat is Saam. You just extend the A, Saam. Saam. Yeah, Saam, which would mean a word bond. Okay? Very quick history on that, right? In this community, a man stole another person's wife. Okay? So what happens within the social dynamics of when that happens and that it creates dysfunctions among certain people and that. Knowing the fact that he stole somebody else's kima, you had to leave just so that the structure of the cat would remain. So we had to leave, the man and the woman. So they moved over to an area we would call Medicine Hat. Okay? There was at a time when there was still hunting buffalo and so forth. And while he was there, he thought that he was being punished because of what he did. He was unable to trap. Every time he shot the bow at a buffalo, the buffalo just wouldn't die. He would miss, or he would just wound the animal, and the animal would just run away. That was his first part of his, And they were just getting so desperate over there. There wasn't hunting, there wasn't no big game. So he made a vow to himself, and that one of the things those early warriors would do fast for 4 days. trying to get some, asking for mercy and that, right? So he would fast for 4 days, and then during that time when he was fasting, during those 4 days and that, they say, your spirit sometimes leaves your body and you get visions, or something comes to you. While he was in his 4-day fast and that, asking, he said, I want to change my luck and so forth, he was visited by a being, a river being, a river person, Suitapi. And Suitapi said, come into the river and visit my lodge. He jumped in the river and went to go visit a lodge. It was a teepee lodge. And he went in there. And then with the river being told, I know what's happening, and that, you're suffering, you're not being, you guys are starving, you need to eat and so forth. I want to make you a deal. So they made a deal. See it, and then part of that deal is that you have to fulfill my wishes. I want you to do something for me. And that. I'm a river being, and that I only eat certain things. So he told that warrior, he says, I want you to throw me a human being, and I haven't ate too, but I only eat humans. So he went up and he says, what the heck? And was that a dream or what? Eh? So, but there's it's not nothing in that. So he went hunting, same thing. Wasn't catching nothing for another couple of days, nothing was happening and that. He said, what if that is true? So on one of his sleeps and that same river being came to him and said, I'm still waiting for that obligation and that. As soon as you feed me, your luck's going to change. So what does he do? Well, he found somebody way out hunting or whatever and that. He dragged that person, threw him into the water, and he fulfilled his obligation. And then he started hunting, and he started catching, he started feeding, and had lots to eat, he had lots of hide to make his shoes and whatever. And while he was in those trances, and he'd always see something out there blowing in the wind, and that it looked like a psalm, right? Now think of the Blackfoot psalm, not the ones you see at the powwows, right? These are straight up. As I was looking over there, saying, this probably, just another my vision to that, but it was always in that same spot. So just curious, you went to go see it. It was actually a gift from the river being, right? He gave me a gift in that, right? It's over there. You went over there, and you see it? It was all it was he got to me. It was a female sage, very leafy, right? And that's all he's seeing. So when he came back into the main camps to make peace with the people and that, he told them about this vision, but also too, he called that area where he was Sa'am, where he's seeing the headdress. I don't think you're going to call it where that river being, So that's why we call that Sa'am. Why do we have those stories? Well, that's Blackfoot territory, right? We have those stories to back up our claims to that's what it is, and that, right? Good and so forth, the Red Deer Rivers, okay, there's another one I wanted to share with you, and this is Edmonton. Calgary actually was called after a community in England. There was a community in England called Calgary. And then when they first established their forts over the Hudson Bay Company, there was an individual in there was some kind of a colonel or somebody. Well, what are we going to name our new community? Well, he's actually from Calgary, England. They said, well, why don't we just call it Calgary from our homeland? Somebody needs to go open the door over there. So, Dane, Dane. Oh, Tim. Oh, yeah, Dane. Oh, yeah. So Fort Calgary was actually named after a place that was already in existence in England called Calgary. So when it was born, of course, they just called it Calgary after their homeland of Calgary. We'll get to that. So it went further, as we were on that, they established another big community called Edmonton in Blackfoot territory. Did you know Edmonton is part of our Blackfoot territory? south of Saskatchewan River. Right, on this side of the river is Six Grade, right? Blanks, right? Yeah, I went to the West Edmonton Mall. To play some hockey, and then I thought, I'm homesick. As soon as I crossed the river, hey, I'm home. Yeah, I didn't have to travel that far, and I was already home. So all that territory that we see from here all the way to Edmonton, you can imagine, that's all Blackfoot. So we have to name them according to our language and that. So, of course, there was a great big house being built called the Parliament, right? The legislative building, there is, it's just right on the edge of the river. So when they were seeing that, oh, that's a big house. Humongous house for the houses we've seen back home. So they call it Omchgoyes. Omchgoyes. Moyes, of course, is a large, right? Omchgo is big. Omchgoyes. Omchgoyes. Big house. Yeah? Is that accurate? Is there a big house there? Yeah, there's a huge humongous house. Once you cross the river, then how can you miss that? Oh, who lives there? I think Danielle Smith. Oh, wow. Got a big, beautiful house, eh? Where's the kitchen at? Oh, I don't know. Where does she sleep? Just anywhere she wants. Yeah, so that's what we call it, a big house. So, can you see how our world has changed with these communities, but not so much the language. We had to name these places according to our language, according to what we see, right? Okay, it's not in our vocabulary, but I have an auntie that lived, that has moved to Siksika. She lived up there for over 75 years. Right after residential school, she married, I think at 15, Kakani. Niksista Kakani. She moved up there. Siksika is in between two communities on the east end of their, no, on the west end is Felicia. On the eastern end of their town, of their community, is Cluny, right? So those two towns are just like you go across the tracks from their community, the reserve, and there's Felicia, right? So they start going into those towns and that. The first town merchant there opened up a store. They probably had clothing, food, and so forth, and that. But the owner had a really big belly. He had a huge belly, right? So every time, so spaghetti for soskitsi that. Oh, okay. Soskitsi. Oh, okay, that's for soskitsi. So they go to soskitsi, get their things they need to buy and go back. And that was the only place they went to was Soskitsi. And Soskitsi became now Grecian. So the town of Grecian is called Big Belly. Soskitsi. And they still call that. On the opposite side of town, if you live closer to Cluny, okay, and of course, the only merchant there was a person that had a, can you guys imagine a person with so much beard that just you can hardly see his eyes? Like it's just a thick beard, right? So we go over to Spinetsi, so they call it thick beard, a real thick beard. Yeah. So it's the Blackfoots, the Siksika, same way as we had a community center. And if you travel towards on the highway number 1, going towards Hawkins, there's a town called Strathmore. Strathmore was at a place where the road bends. It's the old highway, I guess, right? And the highway is in a sense, there's a big corner, and the town is right there. So where are you guys going? Big corner. That's what they call Strathmore. Kuki is a corner, right? So again, right? How did we view that? Now, what if I had a wooden leg and I opened up a store? What do you think that store will be called? Yeah, right? Very simple, right? Right? And if I had a humpback, Thomas. So it's really according to how we see these communities, somebody that's prominent in that community, right? We call it according. What if this person was 7 feet tall? Huh? Spiteful, a tall person.
It's never written. We learned it from nature.
Yeah,
How we saw nature is what we apply, how we apply it to our words. So it's describing and comparing.
yeah, exactly. Very descriptive. And it's very easy. You know, it's just kind of, it's compound words put together. All you need is just a root word. You just put a prefix to it and a suffix to create singular or plural. Inclusive, inclusive plural. Oh, inclusive meaning everybody plural, okay? And when we did our family, it's just an example. When we started doing our family math, right? We have Nephilim and so forth and that. In town here, we have a place called Gugunum. It's right on Stafford Drive. It's just off to the right where the gas pig is. Just a little bit further, there's a place called Gugunum. Noon is very inclusive. Gugunum, it's everybody's home, right? Gugunum, right? So when you start saying family, how about Nchku? Here is my son. Nishku, my grandchild, right? I said Nishkunan is our grand. It's inclusive plural, but it's ours. Giskunun, it's everybody's grandchild. The noon, right? That's how the language works in that. We draw everybody in as a noon, right? You remember the word dad in Blackfoot? Nin, remember that? Okay, so that's my dad. Me and Tracy, our dad, would say Ninnan. Nan is Tracy and I were the plural. This is our dad, right? Ninnan. Gin, that's your dad. Gin, right? Gin the wa. The wa creates, this is your dad, plural, right? Everybody's dad, Ginu. Yeah, that's you and I's dad. Justin Trudeau, Ginu. Huh? That's how that works. Gitchistin. Yeah, that's our mother. In our language. Yeah. Not necessarily, this is my mother made up. So you'll be Gitsin, our big sister. But again, right? It's very inclusive, and the family is very inclusive, and that so forth, and that it really creates a sense of community. All right. That brings us to wow, I love that. No, I love it. Not this.
Dark online. That's better.
Is that better?
Is that blinding you though?
No, it's good. Hey. When you see something like this, real nice and that, just go, hey, you know, if you take that Natusi and the sunlight and just go, hey. Yes, yeah. Spring. Hey, we can't see the spring.
Okay.
Diddy.
I'll lower them. That might be better.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this one too.
Can't see them. Sure.
When did I could see them like?
I'll see if it's better online. Oh, that's better online.
Yeah, because the sun isn't in his face.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wow, a little bit of sunlight. Let's go over there. Oh, good. Oh, wow. The wall sometimes does not. Okay. The law, most words are very, in a sense, if you say ninnan, that's something that's, plural. The law, is it animate or inanimate? Okay, let me just think of something that's, what's that? Yeah, plural, like, the law. Inanimate, okay? Oh, animate, yeah, animate means something that's living. The language works in a sense that, yeah, nature's all animate. Everything that's, yeah, anything that's nature's all animate, even the rocks. Oh, yeah, we say that there, there's, it's a living, right? It's an object, but it's an animate. We see it, we feel it, we throw it, we make things out of it, right? But they are, there's an animate and inanimate way of saying colors. Did anybody go through colors here? Yeah, so when something is black, sixanatsi, sixanatsi. When something is animate, that's black, sixanum. That last part, the num makes it animate, right? So sixanatsi, right? Nitometan sixanum. My dog is black. Right? And there's also a way of saying there he is or there it is, okay? When I'm looking for my jacket and somebody speaks the language and I'll say, oh, me yoke, there it is. If I'm looking for a person and I'm looking for my son who's not around here, you don't say, oh, me yoke, oh, my yoke. Yeah, oh, me yoke, meaning that's inanimate. There it is, there's a jacket over there. Whereas a person, oh, my yoke, it's animate, right? Oh, my yoke. So there's an animate way of pointing out things or people things, right? And there's a way of counting. There's a way of counting people as opposed to counting objects. Nituksa. If it's animate, nituksam. If it's a person, nitsitapi. You put the matapi as your suffix. So, like even counting has an inanimate way of counting, right? What are you counting? Well, the noun indicates you're counting either an animal or, if it's a matapi, well, you're counting people, right? Now, say, try to see the P begins. How many women are in here, right? Yeah, so, it's our description and our animate and so forth. Woo! So, we're going to go do my favorite. Hagatas sapo. My hagatas sapo. We don't see more to it. Ito matapos. Kanay kasi sapo. Kaya mas sapo. Sa sapo kaya sinusin sa ito. Why we do the weather is that within our calendar moves and that there are certain animals in there that indicate the seasons, right? Did anybody do the calendar moons here? They did, right? Somebody must have been. So on the 23rd of May, we began the June, what we call Misamsuta. Okay, Misamsuta, which means the long rains. Right now, we are into the moon of the long rain until the next full moon. Not June 1st, but the 23rd, when the official first full moon, we began what we call Misamsuta, right? And certain things happen within those moons and we need to know, one of the most fierce winds that you can have is the moon of the Awatas, or the cold winds, right? So what moon is this? Oh, Misamsuta. Normally, that is not a very windy month tonight, but if you look outside, moon, how about that? And maybe because of southern Alberta. The word is up there, supu. Supu is just the word wind. There's nothing, it's not, it's just wind. That's what we call what's happening now, supu. Okay? Everybody say that. Subu. Not supu. The B, it's a B sound. Wait! Скане! Heb ik het programma's de essay gestuurd. Maar mensen in our ways, when somebody's talking really positive or something, you know, we clap our hands, right? We're being entertained. Hey! But in black, when something like that happens, we don't clap our hands. We could take our hand and go, hey, very positive, right? Now, this morning, let me tell you what happened today. Me and my son Troy, we were at the university, and we sang the graduates in their march into the gymnasium. And we sang for about 15 minutes, singing straight, right, just him and I. Must have been over 200 graduates this morning that walked by. While they were in there, they did their speeches and that, the dean and the president. Then we had to sing another song. We sang. Now it's this morning, this afternoon again at 1 o'clock, we sang the moon again. And then we sang another song. And then after that, I had to go to the public school awards, and I sang over there. You know, so I'm going around with my voice today, lots and lots of singing. Subu, everybody, Subu, Subu. The AI, Subu. When you put the AI, now it gives Subu a meaning. It means it is windy, is. Right now, it's current. Subu. Say that. Subu. Look outside. Subu. Yeah, it's windy right now. Subu. Now, let's put this into context. Xamastini Subu. Where is it windy? Xamastini. Mukhjinsis Subu. Where's that? Huh? What town is that? Saam Subu. Saam, medicine hat. Yeah? Akohkini Subu. Where is it windy? What town has many wives? Okay. Xamaskini Subu. Yeah. What if I say Germany Subu? Yeah, you know that, right? Right now as we speak, you know where Germany is. Make note of this AI. Anytime that AI is going to be in English, it's current. Subu. Subu. Say that. Subu. 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 The AAK, ox. Say that, ox. Not an ox, but ox. Yeah, ox. Future tense. You put those two together. Oxubu. 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 Okay, let's put it into some context. Mukhjinsis Oxubu. Where is it going to be windy at? Mukhjinsis. Calgary. Xamastini Oxubu. Man, the grass is going to be windy. Sikokutotatsupu. Well, that's because it's going to be windy. Yeah? Bikani Oxupu. Where's Bikani? Huh? Broccoli, yeah, Brena Oxupu. Stand off, yeah. Always windy, stand off. Doesn't matter what they add the grass. No, broccoli, because they say that which windy here, I'm not gonna say. So E. Anytime you put two I's together like that, it creates an E sound, a long E. Okay, that's the trick. Anytime you put the two I's together just like that, it creates a long E sound. So we say Isupu, Isupu, meaning that it. You notice there's a wa at the end there? We don't, it's just like a Isupu. You make that, but it's just like a voiceless. Isupu. Did you hear that wa? No, you didn't, right? So Isupu. Yeah? Hey, let's take it from the top. Esupu. Aksupu. Isupu. Again. Esupu. Aksupu. Again. Aksupu. Isupu. Yeah. So if you say yesterday Isupu, yeah. Yeah, that's what they're doing. That's just like past, present, and future. But I put we're always going to put the past back here, the last, it happens last, right? So present, future, past. Present, future, past. Now, so ox. Yeah. So ox, sometimes it's going to happen. Ox. Standard support, Pirakas. Kinamatoan.
You say a tornado.
Well, because is that what it's oh, in my lifetime, I've only seen one tornado. And that was the year 2006. Correct me if I'm right. He's a good historian. Yeah, I think 2006 was the last tornado here that I actually see. Yeah, just up here, yeah, it didn't destroy any houses and that, but it created such a fiasco that it touched down. Right on the, if you're familiar with the 509 going towards the standoff and that, you go down a big Thunder Chief Valley, and it's just over the hill and touched down. A tornado. And I asked my dad that time, "What did I ask the Probasi?" Oh, but he said he had no idea because he's never seen one, just on TV. So because it's a rare occurrence in that, we don't really have a common word for that, right? Who has seen a tornado for real, though? Like a real tornado? Yeah. And what do you call it in your language? See? There's words for that because they're common, right? They're common in the southwestern United States and so forth and that. So the word tornado comes trickling down to our area. We never seen tornadoes, but what do we call that? Oh, those southern guys, they call it a tornado. Yeah, that's what they call them down there. So then we come up here and that's what we call it, tornado. But because we've never seen another, they're rare, just about surprise. Once you got to hear, oh, that's surprise. Right? Meaning it's the wind goes in the wrong direction, right? Oh, that's I hate to be caught up in the oh, that's so those words are uncommon, even hurricanes. Do you have hurricanes here? Yeah, we do. Which hurricanes? Yeah. But we don't have a word for hurricane, but we have a word for strong wind. Sunatsupo. Sunat means it was pain. Wait, hold on. Somebody open the door for you. Wait, I think, does Joseph know how to open the door? Oh, I hear you. That's all it is. Eh? There's no secret password. Okay, so those words we don't have because they just don't happen on regularly. But if I was, let's say, a First Nations person who lived in an area, like Nebraska, like the Omahas, they probably have a word for a tornado, right? So the, the indigenous people who live in those areas where it's very common, they probably have a very common term for tornado, right? It's not that it's the feel like, just say it, it's the way it is, and probably very descriptive. The funnel, right? But we don't have them. It's just the same idea as we don't have a word for a giraffe. They just don't exist, right? You have to make those words up. Okay, where are we? Hey! All right, they really helped me out here. When I first came in here, my PowerPoint wasn't working. I was nothing. Dane, give Dane a big round of applause there. Go, hey. Now, remember, we don't applaud, we go, hey. And go, Dane. Stampede Wrestling was one of the most entertainment that you can possibly go to. Stampede Wrestling. Friday night, you go to Calgary and you watch the Stampede wrestlers there, Abdullah the Butcher, Big John Quinn, and the Hart Boys, and boy, Calgary, it was just rocking in Calgary. And Monday nights, they go to the exhibition pavilion, and they'd have the same card as they did in Calgary, right? Boy, and you know what? It'd be just full of our elders in there. Now, of course, my grandpa was right in there. Yeah, they were all these old guys were all in there. It'd be just be full of them, our community members are there. You know why they went there? Not necessarily to cheer on. One of the favorite things to do over there was boo, boo. And we had to explain to them, why did they do that? So, well, if you really hate that person, the way he's wrestling, that you boo them, you go boo. So they just booed everybody. Whether it was a good wrestler or a bad wrestler. So no, who's the good wrestler? You boo that person over there. Then the old man go, boo! As a boo. Next one. Hey, Lane, the Skinner. So, Suda. Say that. Suda. 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 We're going to do the same thing with Supu. Okay? Suda. 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 Right? Ox. Oxuda. 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 Right? Suda. Suda. Isuda. Isuda. After a while, kind of, like you speak Blackfoot sometimes you go back and forth. It's very descriptive. When I say Suda, you can see it and I can feel it, the Suda, right? Because there are names out there that they give out to individuals. Suda or Susapu. There was a person that was great, one of the longest reigning Blackfeet chiefs, Susapu. Susapu, cold wind. Yeah, that was and then Earl old person. And it's in Scott. Susapu, yeah. So those are names. Suta. Suta. Say that again. Suta. Suta. Now, close your eyes and feel the rain. Suta. 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 Okay, now think about what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. What's going to happen tomorrow? Aksuta. Aksu. Think about tomorrow. Oh, my Aksuta. Aksuta. Should I go to Buena to get myself a jacket? Aksuta. So yesterday was Wednesday. What happened yesterday? Oh yeah. Isuta. Isuta, Isuta. Have you guys ever gone to very tropical areas where it's just hot all the time, right? Oh, you think about the rain and cool you off. It doesn't. It just kind of warms you up and it doesn't cool you down. It's like hotter than heck out there. When it rains, eh? God, what the heck is supposed to, it's still hotter than it's the rain, eh? My sister here is gonna go to New Zealand. Raise your hand, Tracy. He's gonna go visit a people that call the Maoris. It's an exchange program. I think there's about 10 of them from the University of Lethbridge. They're gonna go across to New Zealand and they're gonna go 10 days over there. You know, when she comes back, she'll be all tattooed. And then when, and then when she talks to you, she'll talk to you like this. You know what they do, the Maoris? Yeah. We call the Maoris opposcaptics, meaning the big faces. That's what we call them. Is it descriptive? Yeah, that's what they do, eh? When they talk to you, they're going, where are you from?
Could you say it again?
Opposcaptics. They make faces, the Maoris, yeah. Even before they became opposcaptics, yeah, we call them etapuri. And that's what they called us at the period. They had no knowledge of who we were. They just kind of read the John Wayne type of things and that. Well, we call them at the period because we had no knowledge of their culture until we started visiting them, seeing who they are. You know what at the period means? People eaters. They eat people. And that's what they called us. In 1999, we went to Hawaii for education conference and there I met a Maori, and that's where we were exchanging. But the English language, Jade, is that we're able to communicate with other cultures and question about some of their ways of knowing and how they describe things. And he told me, you know, we called your people, you know, the North American Indians, Etapuli in their land. What does that mean? You're cannibals. Oh, we're not cannibals, you know, sort of. That's what we called you. We just had no knowledge of, you know, your culture and that, but we thought you were cannibals too also. But, you know, because we, you know, we communicate, you know, through that English and that, and we see them when they dance, they put the tattoos on and they make faces, say up. So we call them opposites. And who knows what they call. Hey, thank you for joining us. Take some food home. Yep. There's a good hockey game on tonight. It tastes good with that fried drink. So that's what Suta means, rain. Suta by itself is just rain. It's when you start to put the A, ox, and E, it creates the word, right? Okay, next one. Hey, dang, everybody go, hey, dang. I went to go see Avatar, and the whole place just erupted and clapped. They were just clapping the first Avatar. Hey, what did I do? Hey. You guys next to us. What do you mean? Ah.
Way back when we were happy days.
Happy days. Oh, what's his name? That Happy Days character. He wore a leather jacket. The Franz. Yeah, but he didn't put his, yeah, he went, hey. Well, let's go, hey. Right here, hey. Oh, yeah, the Franz. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, he was the coolest guy. He was one tough dude, too. Eh? You don't mess with the Franz. Fonzie. Is his name Fonzie or the Fonz? Mine is. Secretary, still alive too, eh? Up there we have Putta. Putta. Don't put Putta. 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 Now, this is where it's kind of different here. We don't put the A Putta. We got to make it flow. So this is probably where it's different here. Is oh, Putta. Oh. Oh, with that, yeah. Oh, with that. This is where it's different right here. Oh, with that. Now, I just learned, now I don't know how true this is, but maybe there's somebody in the audience, the Inuit have over 150 ways to describe snow. Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah, the Inuit. Because of probably, the environment that they live at, the amount of snow that they get throughout the year. Yeah, there probably is 150 ways to say snow, right? Yeah, and probably how it blows when it starts to be the snow, right? I see support type, right? Yeah, so they must have had lots of, you still don't ever put that. That's snowing, right? So, oh, put the, ak, put the, ish, put the, right? It still has that I in it. The only difference is we threw in an H to kind of throw you off. Right? We can't let you just not have that in your vocabulary. Practice that. The IH is a ish, OH, oh, AH, ish, oh. Can you imagine somebody walking and we're doing that? Ish, oh. What are you guys doing? And this is a secret club. Don't tell anybody. Oh, oh. What do they call those secret buffalo, water buffaloes? So put da, boh da. So again, oh, put da, oh, put da. That's the snow. That's what's happening in that. Snow is called goonsku. Yeah, the snow that you see, that's goonsku. That's what we call it in that, right? So when we say when it's snowing, we don't say goonsku, right? Oh, what that, right? That's what that means. You know what sounds like the rain, but it's the white stuff. Oh, what that. When it hits the ground, goonsku, right? And all that's the white stuff on the ground, goonsku. Somebody was telling, how do you say snowman? Goonskuina. Nina is at the end, goonskuina. So those of you who are making snowmen, you're making a goonskuina. Goonskuina. Hey, where are we? Next one. So that's our weather. So you guys, when something like this comes on, you say, hey, there's the weatherman's here. Some skinny out something. Mukhins's up with that. Eh? Sipok kupit at something. You are telling what's happening based on the weather. Don't we talk about the weather? Eh? Oh, wasn't that a beautiful day? I'm going to see that right? The barbecue weather out there. So here are some of our weather-related terms. Okay, since we're into weather, is there any questions out there in movie land? Anybody want to ask a question? Huh?
I'm calling Kristen because the screen went black on the
Oh
left.
no! You mean that we're just performing for nobody then?
I don't know how to get it back up.
My audience. Okay, so people, once you go outside, it's -30, okay, and they have no jacket, and all they have is flip-flops. You'll say this, X3. X3. The suffix word where it says "stui," that's cold. "Stui," okay? The X meaning that it's cool, right? Anybody feeling cold right now? Oh yeah. Is it because is it age related or what? Us old people just get cold. It sticks up stuff. So everybody go like this. All right, now everybody go. X3. X3. Go ahead. X3. Oh my goodness. And somebody will say, "Get out, it's go." When you're feeling cold, this is just a description, it's cold, right? It's cold, right? When you yourself are feeling cold, you say, "Ni six three tak." The three is right there is the cold, the tak right there means you. Me is the first person. Ni six three tak. Ni six three tak. Cook it subscribe. It's three. Oh, you know, I am cold. Ni six three tak. Now, this is over here is S3 taki. S3 taki. This is the third person in that. And you have to refer to that person you're talking about. S3 taki om or anna. And you put a person right here. S3 taki anna Blanche. S3 taki anna Tracy. S3 taki anna Dane. S3 taki anna Spin. Right? S3 taki anna Brian. Okay? S3 taki om Aki, that woman. S3 taki om Inita. Who's cold? Yeah, Inita. S3 taki om Exine. Who's cold? Oi, oi. Porcupine. Yeah, S3 taki. It's a third person term, right? If you look around the room and I see somebody shivering, S3 taki. Cold feeling. Make note right here, circle this right here. Anytime you see that sunnat means it's extreme. It's very extreme. Sunnat, meaning that it's an extreme cold. Sunnat supu, very extreme wind, right? Sunnat suta, very extreme downpour. Sunnat. So sunnat as your prefix is always an extreme. Right? Very extreme. Sunnat supu. Sunnat huta, right? Very extreme. Or sunnat, you know, you can use that for any description in that. Sunnat sita, very tall, right? Sunnat suksan, very heavy, right? Sunnat sita, you got real good feet. Yeah, Brian. Yes, three is the winter. Yeah, X. The X, as your prefix indicates, it's cold. Cold is three, right? Which is a season too, right? The season of winter is three. All right, right now we're in the season of move. Kristen, we're black. I mean, well, I'm not. I mean, that spring's black. Yeah, there's like a million questions I wanted to answer there, so I figured I'm just gonna answer one of them. There's nothing, I don't know what happened. So, when you say Stuyi by itself, it's just the winter and it's cold, right? When you start to put the prefix into those words, and it creates a present, past, and future. A, up, E, okay? But by itself, and that it's cold. But if I'm cold, means extreme. If it's just cold in general, extreme, right? Don't go outside, extreme, right? Your refrigerator, we call it a tester stove, where we put things, a cold place to put our food. We have to create